Hey, can somebody call 911, please? Call 911. Let's go. Tim Pool just left dude in the pool of his own. How are you guys all doing? Welcome to the channel. I am Ty Smith. You're watching my channel, Model Renaissance Man, in which I appreciate you guys all doing so. Make sure that if you're following me on this channel, that you're also following me on the platforms you see above and below. Hitting this thumbs up button right now. If you click it right now, it would allow my content to consistently be recommended to you. It also helps push my content out in the YouTube shadow banning algorithm world. Be sure that when you do subscribe to my channel, that you hit that bell notification in the process. That way, you will be notified whenever I do post a video. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, folks and folkoramas, this is one of the most awesome takedowns seen on here. I mean, I've seen Tim Pool hand some things to people, but this right here was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, this is in regards to January 6th, in which a lot of people take a whole bunch of what the media tells them to say and they go and repeat it. You guys all know I talk about this a lot, where I can tell when I'm in a debate with someone, I like to call them constructive conversations with someone, that they end up throwing at me talking points that I know they heard the news say or the news tell them to say it. And then when you ask them to actually, when you question them the substance of it, give me the meat of it. What's the message behind what you're saying? And man, y'all, this right here is just boom. I'm not even gonna waste y'all time anymore. Check this out.
The month that they should get. I do respect the fact that they were prosecuted in a court of law, and I don't think Trump, to send a message to his base that what happened on January 6th was good, which is why he would do such a pardon, should be pardoning folks who were violent. Or
I think 3 years is long enough.
Yeah, and that's a wrong stance, but okay.
How is it wrong?
I just explained it to you.
No. You didn't. You said the court process should play out the way it is. My opinion on the amount of time should be served for a crime is not just wrong because you like courts.
No, I get that.
You need to explain
I'm saying
why the time frame I'm asserting should be longer than 3 years.
No, I'm saying the default, you have to have overwhelming, compelling evidence that someone has been wronged to justify a president stepping in and saying, I'm subverting the justice system outcome. Do you agree with that premise?
No.
That's immoral.
So yeah, you're making a fascist argument.
A fascist argument?
You are making the fascist argument that the hierarchical structure of government is just and should be upheld regardless.
Why? Okay, I'm not going to ask that. This is
right. And so the system we have is
I'm just not loving, and this is a way of celebrating violence, that Trump is celebrating those as far as a pardon, and in his rhetoric and in his national anthem thingy, people who attacked the Capitol. Why did they attack it? Because they believed lies about the election.
There's a variety of reasons why people were violent on January 6th. Largely that they believe the election was stolen.
You could just be like, hey, that's bad. You don't have to keep going.
I've called for their arrest and prosecution. Like, this is not a shock to my audience.
My reporting is responsible for the arrest of a couple of January 6th
My point is that if you've got somebody on a misdemeanor charge who's been held without trial, a pardon makes perfect sense, unless you're a fascist. And the system is just. So it's like Benjamin Franklin, who said it is better that 100 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. You've taken the Otto von Bismarck approach of it is better that 10 innocent people suffer than one guilty person escape.
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, you have.
No,
right?
I haven't.
No, stop. You don't know anything about these January 6 cases. You don't know why these people are in jail. You don't know that a man is in Brooklyn right now for 3 years without charge or trial. And when Donald Trump says these people have been held for too long, you say, no, Trump is wrong. Keep them locked up. That's fucking fascist. Dude, you've been sitting here with no knowledge of the specifics of some of these cases. There is a man in Brooklyn right now. I'm going to say it again. No charges whatsoever brought. He's been in jail for 3 fucking years. For you to sit there and say it is good that he remains locked up is fascism.
Hey everybody, so I'm interrupting this real quick just to let you guys all know, those of you that have been asking how can you help and how can you donate towards the children and help children have Christmas, the ones that are involved under the mentorship of me, you can easily do it by donating to my PayPal or the Cash App right up there. And again, let me reiterate this, folks. I don't want you guys to feel any pressure. If you do, great. If you do not, great. I just want you guys to know that that window is open right there for the ones who keep texting me, the ones who keep emailing me. That way everybody else can see it as well. It does not matter because I make sure that the kids get taken care of anyway. But some of my subscribers who have been consistently and have been loyal in donating there, I know you guys always ask me to remind you to do it. So here is your reminder. And everybody else, to the rest of you, no matter what you do, whether you do or don't, I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas.
That is saying the hierarchical system of the courts and the government is just, and the process is all that matters. And I am saying perhaps 3 years is enough. Because I actually have moral logic and an understanding of these cases. Hence, my position on January 6th has always been the people who have attacked police must go to prison. But 3 years is a fucking long time for assault on an officer. We have seen people on the far left, notably when they were firebombing shit all across Minnesota, 33 people murdered. And how many criminal charges did we get for this? When they firebombed a police station and forced the police to evacuate. On May 29th, 2020, when thousands of far leftists firebombed the White House grounds and set fire to St. John's Church and injured 100 police officers, how many fucking people went to prison for 3 years? How many of them who never showed up on that day are in prison for 20 years? Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in D.C. on January 6th. And you are saying that man who his only crime was, quote, don't leave. That's his only crime. You think he should be in prison for 20 years because you're a fascist. You don't care what the facts are. You don't care if this is unjust. You only care that the machine state has decreed you are not to be locked up. And this is the problem I have with the left. They don't know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They view morality as a blanket government stroke of the pen. And every person, regardless of their crime, should be in prison for decades. I reject it outright. The people who fought cops should go to prison. They did. It's been 3 years. But when you've got people who are on misdemeanor charges for having walked into a building at 4 p.m. after the riot, and I know some of these people, they walked into a building for 2 minutes and walked out, and they got 18 months for that. I don't see you defending the innocent people who walked onto a public grass at a public building after a riot had been completed. You don't know. You don't care. You've taken a tribal position and people are suffering because of it. Now you say that Donald Trump saying the injustice that we've seen warrants commutation or pardons. You say that means he's advocating for violence. This is the ultimate problem. Then you cite a press release from Maryland saying, but the right's more violent. There is a distinction between a white supremacist as a right-wing group and a run-of-the-mill Christian conservative who showed up on that day not to protest. Let's talk about Brandon Strzok. He never went in the building. He was on the other side of the building. There was a permitted protest. He walked up the stairs and he was yelling. They put this guy in prison. There is Owen Schroyer, who was at a permitted rally, who was yelling death to communists. They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them. Tell me why. Give me the data.
I understand that laws on the books have been there for a long time that I agree with, that if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, and then days after.
What's the proof?
The proof is
say the proof.
By prosecutors.
Say it.
Communications between.
What communications? What did he say? What did he do?
Is this serious?
Are you going to tell me why you think Enrique Tarrio should be in prison for 20 years? Or are you going to say the government decreed it?
I just explained to you.
So the government said so. Is that it?
It's usually law enforcement, which I guess is a part of the government.
Government said so?
Yep.
Law enforcement
that uncovers evidence of communications, a memo that he crafted and sent to his organization.
Saying what?
That detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow. Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol.
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Tarrio.
I'm not quite sure that there's any evidence of that sort.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. The idea that Enrique Tarrio crafted a memo outlining
okay.
or they 3 months featured witness evidence into Tario and co-defense included videos, thousands of messages in encrypted chat groups, as well as a public message on Parler. On or before January 6th, Tario convened a Ministry of Self-Defense to coordinate Proud Boys leadership on January 6th. The chat showed that Tario, stationed in Baltimore, encouraged the Proud Boys as they attacked the Capitol. Let's figure out what that encouragement was. Are they going to actually say in the article? So here's a citation. Proud Boy and 3 other members of the far-right groups were convicted Thursday in a plot to attack the Capitol. A jury in Washington, D.C. found Tario and 3 lieutenants guilty of seditious conspiracy after hearing dozens of witnesses. Jurors cleared a 5th defendant, Dominic Pizzola, on a citizen charge in a significant milestone of the Justice Department, which is now secured a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. They will never stop. Okay, that's interesting. Wikipedia asserts that they did this, but there's actually nothing in the news article that actually states that is true. Well, now we got a problem. Let's try this again. Let's try a secondary source. Let's see. There it is. They introduced evidence that Tario discussed with associates a plan to have a large crowd in Washington storm government buildings in a scheme they called 1776 Returns, in which the Winter Palace was used as an apparent code for the U.S. Capitol. In a message, he said, make no mistake, we did this, do what must be done, and he directed the Proud Boys to do it again. So the question then becomes, in the bigger picture...
So are you going to at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly?
I don't think you cited it fairly.
I think people should be prosecuted for engaging in plans to overthrow a government. That's kind of
that's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Y'all don't seem to be that informed.
Wait, look, respectfully, I cover a lot of protests and riots. A lot of people try to protest and riot and occupy government buildings. Do you think that qualifies as trying to, overthrow your government?
No.
Okay, good. So, I mean...
but if they had a plan to take control of the government, which was this one.
If this was an actual plan, this was the leastly poorly,
most over the government?
Ridiculous plan ever. They went after people for having Lego sets of the Capitol. Yeah. I mean, the level of political prosecution here, would you even admit that there was some level of politics when it came to the prosecution of the J6ers? Would you say politics played a role in this?
Engaging with this as thoughtfully as possible, not trying to grandstand. Of course, often, for very justifiable reasons, prosecutors will try to make an example of someone who, for example, tried to overthrow the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. I see why such a thing,
personally, I reject
categorized as sedition,
overthrow the government,
would be uniquely bad to prosecutors and political in that this all involved politics, right? And thus,
I'm sorry, I have to say this. Sent. The Wikipedia article making those claims is not citing any actual proof that they said those things.
Completely cooked them, like cooked them. Well, you see, I ain't. Now, don't get me wrong. The young man did. Now, I'm gonna lie to y'all. He did have some legitimate ways of what he was thinking, but it wasn't until Tim had to just that out of him. You know, I'm still. He thought he was right. That's all. He thought he was right, but absolutely no. Him talking about, look, this is what happens when you get into a lot of debates. There's a lot of variables and complexities when you talk to someone. So what the guy was saying, the liberal guy was saying, that process, I get what he was saying, but the point was that process was not used. Why is that guy still in jail right now? Absolutely ridiculous, folks. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I told y'all wanted to clean up. Tim Pool let them in the pool of his own. Yeah. Get that boy a Depends the next time he come on the show or something like this. Anyway, let me know what you guys all think about this by leaving it in the comments below after this video. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, do what you see in that cloud right there. Get into those cell phones right now and encourage someone to check this channel out that's in your contact list if you would. The next video that I will be doing in chronological order is going to be up here. And if you want to see the music reactions that y'all request the most, it's right there. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, and I hope and pray that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. Most of all, praying every last one of you guys are in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.